Hello, hello, we're live. I'll kick us off with some intro music now. Welcome and good evening to Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. This is Raph streaming to you live high above the keep in the hot air balloon. Tonight I have Neindorf with me as always. Neindorf, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing great. We had a weekend with a lot of much needed house projects going on, so that was nice to I would say a little bit relaxing. You know a couple of years ago I started out on an endeavor to do some carpentry projects,
Ooh.
and I tell people I'm an engineer by trade, and I sometimes pretend to be a carpenter on weekends. um,
Ah,
and I built a table, a dining room table for our family, and it has remained unfinished and kind of quasi in use for, probably going on a few years now. And we're finally getting around to, all right, let's get it done. Let's finish it off. And so I had a chance to use a few different tools, and that's always exciting in the wood shop. I actually joke around a lot with my boss at work, who's also a part time woodworker, and he was telling me about a recent project that he did. And the funny thing for and any woodworkers out there, or really kind of any project guys out there would understand, it's like every single actual woodworking project requires at least one, sometimes two, efficiency projects. And so like the hilarious part about it is you're
uh,
always building yourself a jig, or you're always building yourself an adaptation to some kind of tool that you have, in order to do the next thing. And it's actually a total efficiency waste of time. Like there's so many times I wish I would have just gotten started on a project, but I can't do it. It's like that's the engineer side of my brain. It's like, well, if I did this, it will make the project 10% easier, and then I spend like twice as much time just researching how to do that. So that's my my long-winded intro. How
nice.
how was your weekend?
Pretty good. Similar, some adulting stuff. Snuck a little time in to work on the site too. Very similar. I had posted in the announcements here, or not in the announcements, but I hit everyone up. A guy in our Discord was asking for a feature, and I was like, you know what? This is easier for me to just do in a half hour than to worry about trying to write it down and remember it. So that was a fun little feature. We'll get into some of those site updates maybe in a little bit, but yeah, it
Yeah,
was a good weekend.
yeah, looking forward to those site updates for sure. Um, all right, well, let's go right into question of the day.
Sure. So, all right, this is kind of a not a trick question, but how many going back to some fantasy here? How many uh, rings did Sauron give to men in the Lord of the Rings?
All right, I love the throwback question, and we got a few viewers here on YouTube right now. Um, let's just do a live giveaway. So let's see if one of
Ooh.
our five viewers know the answer to this question. We'll
Oh,
have to
somebody's gonna
we'll
know.
have to come up with something thematic here. That's for
No
sure.
doubt.
All right, so we have I think it's a little bit of a delay from, when we ask. Oh, we got Mex Mike saying seven.
Ooh.
That
So what do we
is,
got? We got any other
we
votes
have,
coming
yeah,
in?
just oh, we got Jeremy, who I believe, I don't know which Jeremy this was. He's got nine, so he's he's spot on. Worm has three. That's a few less than what we thought. Elchi Boy has 19. All right, so now we're pouring in with the numbers here. All right, so Jeremy, I believe you won the last. Did you win the King Sumo last time? I believe so.
That sounds right.
Or were you under a different alias at that time? All right. Well, Jeremy, hit us up on Discord right away, and we'll have to come up with something that's thematic and fun. All right. Yeah. Nine rings to rule the mortal men. So why is that an important number there, Neindorf?
Well, I mean, it's it's part of my handle. I mean, come on now. Nine is the most, as the
Most. Yeah.
leading
There you
character, of
go.
course. But no, I just asked because apparently nine is the number of heroes in which it takes to start a war.
That
I don't know. Did
yes.
you check out the new Medium article?
I did, and Mex Mike is calling us out on some clarification here. He said he gave out 19 in total and kept one, and you did clarify that it was nine to the men,
That's right.
the race of men. That is, I don't know if there's
Yep.
any females given rings in the race of men. There was in the elves at least, but
Yeah.
anyways, I digress. All right. So yes, that's nine in the war. So let's go ahead and just slide right into one of the topics we have for tonight, the Medium article, which came out yesterday and was just a bit surprising.
Yeah,
Um,
no kidding.
it, yeah, it just kind of blew up out of nowhere. So I'll go ahead and bring this up. All right, have it over on the page now. So looking at the dev update, surprise dev update, I really enjoyed it, and I started reading it as on a walk with the kids, and then I was grilling lunch, and so like I didn't have a good chance to digest it until actually today, this morning, when we started texting about it. Um, Really excited. So the first thing that they bring up are duels can be fought in groups of one hero, three, or nine heroes, and there are varying levels of rewards for each tier. And so, right off the bat, that gets me really excited that they are going to have a tier system. I think, had they not had a tier system, it almost would have been unplayable ultimately because you can't have, your mythic dragoons just running havoc on your level one basic wizard. So I think that's absolutely the way to go, and I'm really excited about it. So, what are your thoughts initially with kind of the 139? Nine was news to all of us. So,
It
and that was
was.
your question of the day. So go ahead and hit us with what you're thinking.
Yeah, so it one and three we'd pretty much seen, and I mean we kind of predicted, and they've almost been confirmed, I guess you would say at this point. And then, that makes sense. Solo is mano y mano, right? Let's get the best hero against the best hero. And then squad is sort of the counter to that, right? One hero cannot max all eight stats. And with three heroes, though, you can get really close to, you can usually max, I want to say, almost all eight. Usually it seems like there's maybe one you can't quite get to or balance
Right.
out. In what I've seen using the combat corner tool of our website,
There you
it's
go.
very difficult to get eight balanced
We're gonna
with
have to
three
update the
heroes.
website now
So it was
for nine.
hilarious.
Yeah.
I scrolled down and I saw nine heroes, and I was like, oh no. I was like, oh, how am I gonna lay that out? Nine's gonna look terrible. I was like, uh, but we'll get there. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then I guess I was thinking that they would maybe stick with the odd series and just go to five,
Mm.
because I think with five heroes you could still make a pretty good run of it. But then I actually really love nine for a couple of reasons. I think the first reason I love it is that that gives you a use for a high number of heroes. It's not like, yeah, I know for me, and if I've been thinking kind of in squads of three, which now they've given it a name, so I can call it a squad. Um, but in reality, there's a lot more heroes in my crew that in my roster that don't necessarily fit together well. So I think nine is fantastic, especially for those people who are holding a large number of heroes. I think you're going to be able to do some really cool things with nine. And then I think imagine once that we know abilities and skills, if those start to play in on a war,
Hmm.
just think of how much strategy a nine on nine, like that's an insane amount of strategy.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, maybe that's a precursor to also like Guild Wars, where you can
Oh,
have,
sure.
many heroes. Like, so, you, myself, someone else on our team or on our guild could go up against, another guild, each bringing three heroes. I think that'd be really neat. Um, and then, like you said, like the interplay where it opens up so many more opportunities. And I really can't get over how much I like that they're creating a tier system and a ranking system. And so that obviously creates a lot of parity that ultimately will form inside those tiers and the metagame that develops. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be really healthy. So winners of the duels earn raffle tickets, which can be used to enter multiple raffles, hourly, daily, weekly, to win prizes. So seems like they're using a raffle system very similar to how they've doled out lands or Gen Zero heroes based on X Duel or whatever it is that you hold. So not that surprised by that. But I would say also at the same time encouraged, as the current questing system has been subject to some criticism in terms of the leaderboard. So really, really excited about that. And it looks like you can view replays, you can view results. So similar things to what's happening in DFK Arena, and hopefully a lot more balanced. What are your thoughts
Yeah, I
there?
think that's right. I think you're going to see that, especially when they're talking about a matchmaking system. I mean, honestly, that's what Arena is kind of missing, in my opinion, because you get nothing, right? You just any hero between your five level um, chunk. That's all you really get. That's all you know. And I mean, that's a great start. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think it's a really cool thing they've done, and it's I mean, there's thousands of games being played there. But I think matchmaking is going to be absolutely huge. I'm really curious to know what they're talking about on their rank. Now is that like a win-loss record or is it based on hero data? That's where that end of that part of that sentence there really makes me wonder what this is going to be. Because that's a very different system if it's based on your as a player selecting heroes and winning more often versus having high level heroes. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, for sure. And so let's slide into the next point, which has my head spinning. So we we know that Hubert has come out and very explicitly stated that the hero classes are balanced around combat. And we know there are stats obviously for the heroes. We were some of the first to start uncovering the hidden data, which there are abilities there. There's obviously the green boost and the blue boost, which we know will impact battling in some way, just like they're impacting the training quests. But the next piece of information kind of surprised me a bit, and that was heroes will get bonuses based on their elements, card backgrounds, and stats. Well, not the stats part was not surprising, but the elements and card backgrounds. So I believe the backgrounds are like plains, forest, swamp, whatever, the city. I can't remember what they all are. And then elements are like, the wind, fire, water, whatever they have on their card as well. Um, and so, my head started spinning thinking like I was already trying to, balance five, variables in this equation. And now we have to balance even more. So I don't know, that seems kind of crazy. What are your thoughts there?
yeah, and I think you nailed it when you talked about Hubert mentioning it in the past. And I think that that's what's going to keep this game running long term is that it's going to be so difficult because there's so many elements on a card
Mm-hmm.
that to get all of them in sync and to line up is going to be near impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And then you combine that with the fact that it could be a squad or a war of nine heroes. So now trying to find nine heroes that complement the right ways. I don't know. This is setting up for
Yeah.
some really high strategy. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I love it too. And, we actually just the last podcast on Wednesday after they released the roadmap, I remember us saying, actually stating some concern that if they're only going to release duels before that, unlocking of jewels starts to happen. I know both you and I have been talking about this for a while, that we were worried about the economy of the game, ultimately
Right.
crashing. Um, but if this is what is included inside duels, I mean, this is far more complex than what I was expecting. This feels almost like full battle. So, a battle with, I assume the gambit system style battling is still the next iteration that's not going to happen here when the release of Duels happen, which is at the end of Q2. So, we have now a month and a week left. So there's not a lot of time for this to come out. Like, get ready, start prepping your squads, folks.
That's right. And yeah, how dare we get too pessimistic? That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
uh,
yeah,
they'll show us.
yeah. I would say, yeah, it's funny. Like, sometimes I try to watch the discourse in other places, and I think we definitely trend on the optimistic side of things, but that's probably our nature more than anything. All
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So, anything else on battling that you want to hit up, or as let's maybe throw that question out to our listeners
Yeah,
over on YouTube.
yeah, I can.
Anything else, YouTube friends?
Yeah, while they're you have a chance to hear and respond. I think I'm extremely interested in that the page, where it's got the cards. It really seems like it's going to make a selection. It's going to be a roll. Pick a hero from each team. That's roll
Mm-hmm.
number one. Roll number two, let's pick a stat. Roll number three, let's pick a location. Number four, let's pick an element. And then boom, now let's throw all your combinations of data and who's got the more correlated to the random
Yep.
roll for that turn. I think it's going to be great.
One of
And
the
I love that little. I don't know if you have that page up by chance, but that
I
little
do
like
actually.
at the bottom where it's got the different
Elemental
elements.
chart, yeah.
Oh, something's going to happen there, and I think it's going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think it might, randomly roll. All right, water's powerful for the next 3 turns. So,
Yep.
use a water hero. I'm really hoping, and long term listeners know that I'm a fan of competitive Pokemon. Never any good at it, but still enjoyed it. One of the things I love most about that, and it's very much a turn based game, but you had the opportunity to always switch out your current active battling Pokemon, or in this case, a hero, to bring in someone else. I really hope that opportunity exists, and you give up a turn, and so when you decide to switch out your Pokemon, the other Pokemon gets in essence, a free attack on the incoming Pokemon. But it's all strategy play, because you can bring a guy from your reserves or from your bench who is resistant to the elemental water attack, or is resistant to the thief or the archer that's currently attacking. And so it adds so much strategy when you're able to bring someone else into the game. And then eventually, if people start switching heroes often, in this case, you would start planning your next attack around, are they going to switch? Are they not going to switch? Do I want to preempt their switch and try to switch
Oh, nice.
into who I think they're going to bring in? And so there's, so many layers of strategy, counter strategy, counter strategy that I hope can exist with a game that's turn based. I think it can. And, based on the images we're seeing already, it's more complex than we or hoped a couple weeks ago. So I'm pretty excited about that now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right. So, Sergeant Filthy McNasty, do you speculate that the pages play a role in the DFK duel? So, I believe you're referring to eternal story pages of the tome, something or other like that. Um, what are your thoughts, Neindorf?
Um, I personally don't think so. I think it's probably going to be related to, well, I guess I don't know, but I would like to see it related to some element of um, entry into a specific tournament, maybe. So I guess in that sense, maybe then it is kind of related if the tournament uses the dual system, I suppose. But I kind of like to think that that's for some special event from what we've heard. Whereas the dual system, I think, is just kind of going to be a feature that's going to be live out there, that can be used whenever. So I guess, yeah, so sort of related, but I think not necessarily directly.
Yeah,
That's my thought.
I guess, embarrassingly enough, it takes me long enough to click through my gardeners that I haven't actually bothered to read all the pages. So, um,
Uh,
I can't tell you. I can't tell you what the heck the quest is. I don't know. You guys tell us. Yeah, maybe I like like I said jokingly, but in reality, I don't know what it's saying in the pages. So maybe I'll go. That'll be my homework for the night, Sergeant. So thanks for that. All right. Well, next statement slash question from Space Waffles. One of our best friends in college. Well, still best friends. Had a dog named Waffles, so like the
oh
name.
yeah, that's funny.
Space Waffles. Not sure it's been mentioned, but did we talk about Frisky saying that hope you have your eggs ready for Wednesday? I assume this means this upcoming Wednesday. I have not seen that. Have you seen that?
I missed it, but I think that makes sense because, with their last one of their last releases, they said they were shifting to kind of a 2 week cycle,
Yeah.
which follows, somewhat of an agile development process that I'm kind of used to as well. But and obviously last week there was no release, so that kind of leads us to hype that there's going to be a large release. And so if someone else heard out there who mentioned Wednesday, I think, that's, you know, 2 points saying that get ready to start incubating some eggs on Wednesday.
All right. Well, so here I've gone down to the pets update on the page if you're following along Nine Dwarf, and I have this up for our YouTube viewers. So Jarek is getting ready to hatch some eggs, and I'm looking at the image of the egg incubator right now. So
Yep.
currently it's showing that you can incubate blue or gray, and the other egg colors are locked. And I feel like they dropped a whole bunch of information here. Again, like I mean, the amount of information that they packed into this single Medium article was incredible from a development standpoint. Like they really are, taking their mantra of market up, build, market sideways, build, market down, build. So I'll do some quick reading here. So pets come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Rarity will play a role in what kind of pet you can find, which I absolutely love. And there are rare variants inside those pets. And I also believe that there is rarity to, the boosts that they provide as well. So pet bonuses can have three rarity tiers: common, rare, and mythic. And so they've kind of simplified the rarity system a little bit. The chance of getting a higher rarity bonus is tied to a higher rarity pet. So, are you at, I don't know, how many are you up to now? Is it 200, 300 pets or eggs? I'm not sure. I lost track.
Yeah, so there was a bit of a run in the marketplace the other day where gold eggs were going for quite a discount. So I ended up picking up my second gold egg. Just bought that one, so that brought me up to 25. So I'm sitting pretty good. So I bought two gold eggs, and otherwise I've got the other 23 that I've found through good old fashioned questing.
25. That is insane. I'm pretty sure I'm at somewhere like 15. Um, yeah, 3, 4, 9, 11, 14. Yeah, so, huh. All right. Well, hey, you definitely got me beat there. So 25. That holy cow.
That's
Are you
right.
sending many are you focusing on training quests, or right now are you focused more on the profession quests?
So let's see. I think I have about three or four fishermen and three or four foragers a piece. And then I got my 12-man mining crew. Uh, and then let's see. Then the rest of my heroes, which is probably another only like six or so, are doing training quests. So I think I'm proud of, I'm, about half of my heroes, almost, not quite half, are mining, and then I've got another half of that left over. So yeah, I'm pretty well split actually. The more I think about it, I got a pretty good mix going at the moment. And my personal cutoff is I will do professions until I have a skill that's 30 or above with a boost.
Oh, okay.
That's just kind of where I'm at.
Higher standard than mine. I'm going more off of the profession score, and so if I'm above 10, which would make you eligible for level 10 profession quest, then I
Ah,
am not actually doing well. It depends. If the hero is a stinky commoner, then I'll continue to have them do the profession quest. But anyone who's 10 and above and they have I would say for me, my threshold has been about more like 20. And
okay.
then I'll go ahead and, go over to the training quest if they have 20 and also high profession score. With the exception of right now, I'm trying to power level my Dragoon,
Oh,
which I'm
sure.
actually doing up on YouTube right now. And so I am stand potting my what I had a level 1 Dragoon earlier today, and as I sent you a text message picture, I was lamenting that I got a bit rugged on my first level up. I oh man, I still feel a little sick to my stomach. Anyways, we're getting way off topic. Pets pets coming our way. Nine North has 100 eggs, and actually, once we get to 300 subscribers in YouTube, we're gonna do some pet egg giveaways. And I actually, I got a gray egg today. I got a green egg like earlier in last week. And
You're
so,
catching up.
maybe instead of giving away 2 eggs, maybe we'll give away 3 eggs. I'm really excited about this. And as we teased last time, we're trying to line up a very special pet release podcast for this week. I haven't heard from Sunbear yet if, we have any takers, but we're trying to get some DFK team members on board, and hopefully we could, maybe even get funded a few extra eggs that we can give away to our amazing listeners out there.
Nice. Yeah, I just want to note that at the moment we're sitting at 292 YouTube subscribers, so we're not
Excellent.
all that far away.
Oh, perfect timing. It's just like we planned it, right?
You bet.
All right, so obviously the caveats that gray and blue eggs will only be first on the launch. They're working on the art, is what they said. Second, pet bonuses will be set to placeholders until the respective features are closer to launch. In the case of profession bonuses, the wait will not be long. They are planned to be implemented along the release of level 10 fishing and foraging quests. For all bonuses that contain a placeholder, you will be able to see the rarity and type of bonus, combat, profession, crafting, etc. that the pet has, but no details of what the bonus actually does. Here's a sneak peek at some bonuses available. Increased chance
Oh
of
man.
finding runes, increased experience gains, extra item rolls, skill improvements. So I just rambled for way too long. What sticks out to you most about that?
Obviously, increased experience gains are going to be absolute gold mines for
Oh yeah.
people. Those are going to go for a premium. If you get one of those boys, sit tight on it because that thing's going to be worth something real. Skill improvements. I want to say that must. I kind of. It has to be like if the pet is quote unquote applied or in use, you probably just get a couple extra stat points or something. Um, Extra item rolls. See, that seems very useful. Yeah, if you say you're short on bloaters, you're like, well, I better set my pet out that gives me extra rolls so I can really rake in the bloaters. Like,
Yeah.
um, and then finding runes. Like, basically, that one kind of just tells me that they're coming up with all sorts of crazy ideas. That these things are going to have just an absolute gobs of opportunities for random things that these pets are going to come out with. I think it'll be minute details, and I think that's probably where they're really smart in withholding some of the details because I would bet that most of those aren't planned. They're basically blank slates in the pet card, and they can kind of assign those out as they come up with uses for them. Is my suspicion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually totally cool with that because otherwise, you don't want to get to end game before you're actually able to hatch a pet. So I think I really like what they're doing here. There's a wide diversity of things that they've got on this list, and more is, yeah, no doubt they're going to take this everywhere, every which way they can.
Yeah, and I thought I heard this on, I think it was like Climb Crypto's YouTube channel, that he was, complimenting the team, that like he was pretty sure that and I don't know what kind of inside information he might have had, or maybe he's just speculating, I'm not sure. But that pets were never a part of the original vision of, and I haven't gone back to actually look at the old roadmaps, but that sounds right to me. And so I
See
think
that?
it's interesting that they're, it feels like they're, embracing this and really building a whole bunch of new functionality. So next, I actually love this feature here. It's kind of like a built-in burn mechanic, where there will be a trade-in mechanic, they're calling it, where you can put two unwanted pets up for adoption. In exchange, the town folk will take over, and you can get a new egg. And so I actually think that this is a neat feature, that they're trying to maintain pet rarity in essence, when you're looking at a 2-to-1 trade. So what are your thoughts on this? I'll admit, when I read this the first time, when I was doing a walk and grilling, I totally glossed over it, and the second time that it really hit home with me.
Oh, sorry, I was mesmerized by the Star Kid here. That thing is really fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I think what they're doing here is they're trialing burn mechanisms for
Oh
heroes
yeah.
in a much lesser valuable, well, at least at the moment, much less valuable token. So I think this is going to let them kind of have some lessons learned on, let's see what happens. Maybe their mechanics they originally come out with are too forgiving, and so everybody's don't trading in all their pets and there's only mythic ones left. Then they can kind of pivot and make it, maybe it's 4-to-1 or something. So I think this is a good opportunity for them to kind of get their feet wet in burn mechanics. So I think they're taking a really good approach here and starting with pets because they're valuable, but they're still of limited value. And I think they should, theoretically, a pet should never have you know an immense more value than the hero, at least of a similar rarity, right? You would think, because heroes are like the mainstay of the game. I would hope a pet is never worth more. A mythic pet's never worth more than a mythic hero, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and I agree, and I also like that, a constant burn mechanic um, helps you maintain that rarity as more community members are getting into the game, and uh, you know doing more quests, summoning heroes, which ultimately do more quests. Um, so I'm really excited about it, and I agree with you that I hope that pets also aren't like the premier NFT. I hope they continue to focus on heroes, and just like you said, I also hope that this is like previewing more burn mechanics for heroes. I think that's important. Yeah, I we'll see.
Well, and it makes me wonder too, what does it look like to apply or use a pet, right? Like, I think, and I ask this question because in the future it's going to matter. If we're crafting weapons and armor, something else I haven't really heard a lot about. Looking at the heroes, do any of them hold shields? I don't think they do. Like, shields are usually a pretty huge thing. And maybe it's just that we're seeing the default, free, if you will, like crappy weapons that all these heroes are summoned with.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get crafting and you start to craft really high level or high grade equipment, you know, those are going to have to get applied to a hero somehow. And so, I'm really curious to see if we can glean any of that information from these pets once they are usable. How are they applied basically? And we've kind of talked about this before, with our discussions on travel. That's another thing that we don't really know how that's going to work on chain. So this is yet another area where I'm really curious as kind of a data guy, as the the engineer behind the scenes trying to look at all that data, I really want to know, and I'm excited to see how they pull all this off.
I agree. Yeah, looking forward to it, and I'm hoping we can. Maybe it's probably a bit of a stretch if it's happening Wednesday, but get some access to how the data's working, because I think that'll be, another opportunity for the site to, really share and unlock some of that hidden data. All right. Well, that about finishes it up on the pets conversation. We covered pets and duels, and the last conversation topic I had for the night was bots. Um, I know you were promoting. There's another developer who's working on a bot. And you promoted something on Discord the other day. Maybe let's give that a quick shout out now, and then we'll jump into it. Hopefully, have him on a future podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a guy that he's kind of been a mainstay in the dev Discord channel. And I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong because I'm terrible at names on Discord, but it's like Dan Polis, and I'm not sure if that's right. So someone scream at me on YouTube if they know better. But basically, I've been in contact with him for a little while now, and he's released. It's a pretty useful little bot for kind of just quality of life if you have a lot of heroes to manage and you're just doing like say a bunch of profession quests, and it really helps you make sure that those all get run in a timely manner. It's kind of one of those things that when we were starting out, a few months back, I never really thought I would have that problem. But when you got 30 heroes, even at 30, it still takes a lot of time to click all the buttons. So it's a tool that really helps with that. I'm not doing it justice. We want to get him on. He'll help us, work through and talk over all the details. But it's pretty cool what he's got running. It does do the actual transactions for you with your account, something that I haven't gotten into. So I'd love to pick his brain on what are all the trials and tribulations he's gone through in that, because I've heard it can be quite a pain on Harmony. So keep stay tuned, everyone. We'll see if we can't get some time scheduled with him here for one of our next podcasts.
Yeah, really looking forward to that, and hopefully I'll be the dummy test subject here coming up as well to give this a shot and see if I can't figure out how to use a tool like this. And I can see how that provides a ton of value, especially if they don't. It's been in the works forever, but like, when can you make slightly more efficient gardening quests? Like, I have a lot of gardeners, um, and that is just it's a ton of work and ton of clicks to go through that. So I'm really looking forward to whether it's some in-game tools or some third-party tools to help me manage it better.
Yeah, you're right. Those gardeners, because you gotta service those guys almost every 4 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas like fishing and foraging, you kind of get them once every 8, and you're pretty well set. That's a good point.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's give our YouTubers one last chance here. Any final questions before we take off?
Yeah, I think while we're waiting for that to come up, maybe we could just chat real quick about the market page that we just launched on
Oh
our
yeah,
website.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, so I took a little time to put together what I call just the market data app, and it basically stems from the most recent vote I had done on our Discord community. That was the number two, voted item. I'd already completed the first, and so now, yeah, moving on to a page with DFK token price data. And I think what is pretty cool is for our paid subscribers, we've got some it does a little bit more analysis, and it can tell you, hey, is it cheaper to craft this or is it cheaper to buy it? And I was actually surprised on the answers for some of those. It's not always cheaper to craft. Sometimes it is actually cheaper just to go to that trader and swap out for some jewel. So it kind of helps with that. It also kind of shows you all the recipes, I call them, for either alchemy or the stone carver. So as new facets of the game come out, namely probably crafting and whatnot, you'll see more and more pages kind of show up there to go over all those different recipes. But yeah, I hope you guys find it useful. It's I tried to double check some of the data, but it's kind of a lot. And so, hey, listeners out there, if you find a problem, we'll let you guys help be our beta testers here. If you find a bug and we'll fix it up, we'll shoot you a month of extra content, so free on us. So we appreciate all the help you guys provide.
Yeah, love it. And speaking of kind of the quality assurance of things, as we are trying to release more information, I think one of the things that we've talked about is it is challenging, as this is our side gig, not our day job. And by us, I really mean Neindorf. And so yeah, let's make make no jokes about it. You're doing a lot of the back end, most all of the back end development work. So we're kind of looking for someone who could help us with QA, quality assurance, and we got to rush things out when they release. Is the gist of where I'm going with this, and so it is really challenging when we don't get to build ahead of time. Saturday we knew that pets were coming out, and we're speculating that they're coming out Wednesday, but we don't really know, and we have no idea how they're going to show up in the in ultimately the blockchain data for DFK. So, how does the API interface with the data that they have? And, how do we look at the rarity of pets? All those things like are giant question marks to us. And if they release on Wednesday, that's 72 hours from now. So, we would like to get our content out there faster. And so we're looking for someone to join, kind of lightly join the team, and in that stretch they get to help us perform QA. And so if you're someone who wants access to things early on but it might be broken, then give us a call, reach out to us on Discord.
Yeah, well said. I mean, when we had only a few subscribers, or maybe way back in the early days when it was just Walton and I and you, Raph, I would just push stuff out and I'd be like, hey, they'll tell me if it's
Deal
broke.
with it, yeah.
But now, I think we've reached a point where I feel a little bit more, beholden to all of our subscribers and our paid users, that I want to have a quality product. So, I think this is, it's probably about time we have some sort of position like this to help us look over everything. So yep, let us know.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let me jump over to YouTube here real quick, see if there's any questions. Are pets forever hero linked?
I've wondered about this myself. I've not heard anything about it, so I don't think so. But I almost kind of hope that they would be, so that it makes it a really hard choice, and you need to think it over very carefully. Kind of like in some games, items will be hero linked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like once you use it, it's forever bound to that character. So I don't think that I can't say for sure that they will, and they more than likely will not. But I personally kind of would love to see it. I think it would make this, yet one step harder. And I think in a game like this, anytime they make it harder for people to maximize, or is better in the long run.
Yeah, I agree with that. We'll have to see. I don't know where that'll end up. What's I assume he means DFK. It's DFL. What's DFK stance on questing bots? Oh yeah, the next question or next comment down was DFK. Correction. Um, so I would say I don't know. You've been on the dev page more than me. I think they realize that they can't fight it. It's going to happen with the blockchain. I think there's a lot more grief around purchase bots on the tavern than there are about questing bots. But I guess, what are your thoughts?
So yeah, my read of it would be they understand that they're going to exist, and they would prefer instead to use methods that get people to play, where you have to play, that a bot maybe isn't as useful.
Yeah.
And maybe duels will be that point
Yeah, I could
where
see their
you have.
leaderboards like abandoning quest rewards and going only to, dual rewards.
Right, because you have to have an element of strategy involved, where you're going to pick and match and choose. That becomes a lot harder to do as a bot than simply, hitting start quest, complete quest. So I think their current stance is that, we understand bots exist. They definitely are opposed to bots that are trying to exploit things in the contract that weren't really meant to be there, or weren't, I should say, maybe as public, that aren't really usable through the game interface. I think that's where they start to maybe draw that line.
Hmm.
But I think that honestly, they're right. The difference between a game, launching transactions and a bot launching transactions, especially for profession questing, I there's no way I think they would ever come at somebody for, this is wild speculation, not financial advice, but they understand that that's got to happen. If you're a wallet holding 100 heroes or more, you those whales just they're not clicking those
Yeah.
buttons. That's impossible.
And, maybe a way that they'll combat this in the future, they have hinted towards some kind of scholarship program. And so, maybe they'll make the scholarship rewards juicy in a way that, you would rather perform a scholarship than you would, have a bot do your rewards. I don't know how they could do that, but, they've always said that they want that to be a reality. So next question here, or comment, Ribetto said, Mr. Zipper mentioned saving bloaters in regards to feeding pets. Wasn't sure if he was serious, but ... And, that's something that actually you got some information from Tango back when you were in ETH Denver, right? Kind of
Yeah,
confirming this.
that's right. Yeah, he dropped that way back then that maybe pets are going to need to eat, and I don't know, bloaters look kind of tasty, or I think or something like that. He'd said it was pretty funny. But
Right.
yeah, I couldn't wait to get on a podcast that night and be like, hey, you know what? Pets might eat bloaters, and I was like, uh, so yeah,
Yeah.
it might actually be coming true. Now we don't know what they're going to need, what they would use food for. Maybe they need to recharge, just kind of like your hero has to rebuild stamina. I mean, that's my wild speculation for the night is that a pet might be tired or, exhausted and has to
Till
eat
they
in
eat
order
a
to
bloater.
recharge. Yep.
A Monster energy drink is a bloater drink in DeFi Kingdoms.
Bloater and ragweed, yum.
Yeah. So JHW3D said, I wonder if 9v9 duels will drive up the hero market since most people would be wanting to have at least 9 heroes. I could see that a little bit, and maybe even if they introduce some kind of death mechanic for like, super serious duels, something like that, where it's like you're not training, you're doing a gladiatorial duel. There's a chance that your hero dies. Yeah, I think that would be healthy to drive the demand for hero market. I think kind of it's almost like 2 layers deep. The way I think about heroes, one, that the summoning mechanic for heroes is one of the most important mechanics in the entire game. And, I've wondered before, like 60 jewels, if you own 2 Gen Zeros, like that's a lot. That's really expensive. But those jewels currently fund a lot of the marketing, the quest fund, and then ultimately get burned or repurposed in a really healthy way and take those jewels out of circulation. And so I think that summoning is such an important mechanic to the game because of the transfer jewel that it performs. Now, I think somehow they have to figure out how to balance, and this is why they get paid the big bucks, not me. But they somehow have to balance, finding that the reward for the people who are summoning that ends up benefiting the game, but also control the supply of heroes, which will decrease that reward over time. If there's a greater supply in heroes, and that's going to drive the price down. So that's a really complex mechanism that, I mean, maybe it's rendered obsolete in battles if they could charge or burn jewel, or take some of, like, if you did a duel 1v1, it takes 0.2 jewels, and 0.1 is burned, the other 0.1 jewels go to 1/3 marketing fund, 1/3 quest fund, 1/3, I don't know, whatever else, pay for the devs time. So I don't know. I rambled on there for a while, but I think that burning mechanics are going to be really important if this game is going to be a mainstay.
Yep, yeah, you're absolutely right. And yeah, how the economy runs its cycles is marquee to the success of honestly any game like this. And so, we know that they've got their, I don't know, pretty much probably an economist at this level, working on the team to help basically try to predict what these features that they release are going to do, so that we as the community kind of help steer the prices in a way that's healthy. I won't say steer them in a particular direction. I'll just say steer them in a way that's healthy. And so that's kind of why I'm almost wondering if they did have a burn mechanic, if you would see, I think you'll continue to see rewards in items, and maybe you'll start to see it less in terms of straight up jewel or crystal,
Mm-hmm.
because those are such, precious to the
Right.
environment and to the quest fund. I don't know that they could give away many jewel from a burn mechanic. Now, if they were giving away maybe gold or, runes, I think that is not as detrimental to the jewel economy or the quest fund.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my personal opinion, is I think that you're going to see items over currency.
Yeah. And probably layering or creating layers makes it a more healthy economic environment too. So,
No doubt.
um, Seahawk says, "Can't wait to see the two of you battle." I agree. And then we're going to hold some kind of tournament once Duels release, and we're not. I kind of thought about doing it in DFK Arena, but because you can't schedule personal battles. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm looking forward
Right.
to it. We're gonna host some kind of tournament, 64 player tournament on Discord. So stay tuned for that. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so yeah, Seahawk also asks, when guild tourneys. We're not gonna wait. We're gonna kind of organize our own guild tourneys, and hopefully we can drum up some excitement and fun for that. All right. Well, we've chatted for a while now, so I think that's a good place to end. Neindorf, any last comments here?
I, Basically, I'm just going to kind of reiterate a little bit, like we said, that this Wednesday is probably going to be huge. So, stay tuned, everybody. It'll probably be, here in the Midwest, it's probably going to be late like it usually is. So, I'm hoping Thursday morning to wake up to some really interesting and cool news.
Right on, right on. Maybe we'll move our Wednesday pod to Thursday, just in anticipation of it being a big release.
There you go. Good call.
All right. Well, let's beat the YouTube algorithm. Hit that like button. Please drop us some subscribes. We're almost there to the 300 mark, and we'll be giving away some eggs. So I think that'd be really neat if we could time that with the next podcast. So thanks for checking in, and thanks if you're live, and also thank you for tuning in after the fact. So have a good night.